Please rise to pledge the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gaffney?
Here.
Trustee Johnson?
Here.
Trustee Johnston?
Here.
Trustee Milburn? Trustee Taylor?
Here.
Trustee Waiter? President Einhorn?
Yes. That takes us to the citizen speak portion of our agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that tonight that would like to speak before us? Hearing none, then we will go to the unanimous consent agenda.
President Einhorn?
Yes, sir.
If I may, and Madam Clerk, I would like to ask that the ordinance number 2014-21 be removed from the unanimous consent agenda, and that number stricken, and then this item placed under old business on our next agenda.
And let the record show that I signed Trustee Waiter's bills.
Okay.
Anybody else have additions or corrections? Okay, hearing none, what's your pleasure?
Move to pass the unanimous consent agenda with the additions and corrections.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Johnston, and second by Trustee Waiter. We pass unanimous consent agenda with the
Trustee Waiter's.
That would be.
Trustee Milburn, I'm sorry. Trustee Milburn. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was thinking Waiter's name there. Pass unanimous consent agenda with the corrections and deletions. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. That takes for the committee reports. Trustee Taylor.
A couple things tonight. As we're going through the budgeting process, came to my attention that we have almost 100 homes that are sitting vacant, but yet we are paying for garbage pickup on those homes. So I've asked for the list be put together, which I've received, and I'm going to look into seeing if there's some kind of credit or rebate or something that we can get from our garbage haulers, because they're not having to stop at these homes, and there's no reason that we should be paying for that. So got that in the works. And the second thing is mosquitoes. The bad news is they're out big time. But I was just talking with Phil about it, and although we would, the tendency would be that we would maybe spray more at the pace we're spraying, which is generally a couple of times a week, getting through the entire village. If we stay at that pace, we've got about enough to go another 4 or 5 weeks. If we were to increase that, then we would have to start buying more mosquito spray. So we're going to see how things go. Will County has not contacted the village telling us that they found any West Nile in the traps, and it's been a little drier lately.
You know, I personally think that I haven't been bitten up as bad in like the last week as I was maybe 2 weeks ago. It seems like it's getting a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe it's just by my house, but yeah, without the grass being as moist, I think that makes a big difference. Because that's where most of the mosquitoes come from by my house. When you walk through the yard, you just see them coming out of the grass. But yeah, and it's $60 a gallon for the spray, and you're going through how much? 13 gallons a night.
Yeah, 13 to 14 gallons a night.
Yeah. So it's not cheap to do that, but takes us. You got to spray 2 nights a week in order to be able to get the whole village in.
I flipped through my rain gauge, Mayor, and it records 10 days worth, and we've had 0.2 of an inch in the last 10 days.
I'm sure
right
that's
about the middle. So I'm sure that's gonna
help.
It's gonna help some too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, we just, rather than do anything differently, we'll just kind of stay the course with a couple times a week and hope for the best in terms of being able to keep the supply that we've got, be able to use it through the end of the season. With things going the way they have in terms of the temperature, the snow may be flying by early September, so we could be out of the woods. So that's all I have tonight.
Okay, Trustee Johnson.
First of all, I need to apologize, I was here last meeting, a little conflict of scheduling, so, but I do wanna mention chalet, we're all done out there with water mains, water's running through new mains, blacktop's down, I think there's a couple driveways need to be redone, maybe a little landscape, but we're running out there. Also, we're gonna be cleaning some outsides of the water towers, going by the school, and what are the other ones? School?
Station 2.
Station 2. And also inside, we're cleaning the inside on those. And then, I think if you look at the one on, off of Richton Road, but it's not.
State and Richmond.
State of Richton. That one there, we're still needing to do a little touch-up on that, which, Phil and we also, I'll talk about, so, working on that, to make that one look a little bit better for everybody out there. And Phil, maybe you want to just talk about the new water main going down Exchange Street, from Will County that we're doing, so you can kind of fill
Sure,
everybody in.
the 12-inch water main replacement going down there, starting right around the Tree Bolts driveway out there, that's where they started, and they've actually worked down the hill under the creek, they're back up now, they've actually crossed Old Exchange Street, and they are actually right now working in New Exchange Street, coming across there, but they're like 15 feet deep there, so they uncovered the infamous AT&T duct today.
Oh, really?
And actually, they go underneath that quite a ways, so, and they left that open for tomorrow morning's meeting, so.
Oh, good. We're gonna talk about that.
So there are 15 ducts there, it runs 3 ducts, 4 ducts, and 5 ducts, so.
All their ducks in a row.
Yeah. I talked with actually Gallagher Asphalt and the Will County, and they said no matter what happens, we're gonna continue to water main, get that all done, get all the hookups done, get that out of our hair altogether. The only conversation I really had to have with them is the fact that there's gonna be a good amount of flushing of that main when it gets done, because then we gotta have somewhere for that water to go. And, I told the guy from Gallagher, I says, I know on a construction site, water is usually not the wanted thing. So, I told him to prepare himself, that it's gonna have to be, because when they were down in that creek area and some of the ground that they put that water main in was absolutely horrible, so. And I know there's some dirt and stuff that got in there that we're gonna have to flush out, and probably spend a couple days out there flushing to make sure that, we can get some good samples and stuff when the time comes. So, if anybody's got any questions on that, or on the Exchange Street project that I can answer, I'll be glad to answer them, or.
Okay, thanks, Phil. And then, we had a meeting, on Monday, I think was Flowpack. Oh, no, what day was that? Philtronics, yeah, what day was that?
No, I think it was Monday.
Was it Monday?
Monday or Tuesday of last week.
Yeah, anyhow, so, gentleman was in, we talked about, how they were gonna do the testing out there. Phil and Mark, took them to our wells, went over, everything, and, I was unable to go, but, according to Phil and Mark, it should be a pretty simple operation, a lot easier than we were looking at before, and, I don't think we haven't gotten a date yet when we're gonna start.
I haven't heard anything about a date. I signed all the paperwork, the day after the meeting.
And then they emailed you, I think, and said that they'd get back to you with dates, right?
I believe so. I told them to get a hold of Bill, so they're copying me on that stuff,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll stop and see Bill tomorrow and see him. If he got notice, he would let us know right away, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah, sure. Cause the stuff's gotta be shipped out here from California.
Right. Well, then I think it's all.
Okay, Larry?
The thing of it is, and you may know about this, but if we go back quite a few years back, the problem of we always paid recycling by the house number in town. If there was 600 house numbers, that's what we got paid by, because that was never an issue, because if a house went up for sale, usually 3 to 6 months or less, it was sold and somebody was living in it, sometimes even sooner than that. So, and they're usually about 5 or 6 houses at a time that's empty, so it was never a big deal. So I know there didn't used to be anything in the contract, but I don't know, you may know now if there is or not, but if there's not, there's nothing in it to protect us. But it is, I can see the point, 100 homes, it makes a big difference to paying this kind of money out when we're getting nothing in. But I'm not sure there's anything in that contract that will cover us on that. There didn't used to be, I'll put it that way.
Well, the question was raised to Hank, and he said if you can give me some information, a little bit of backup, I'll see what I can do. So I thought, yeah, it's not an insignificant number.
But not anymore, no, it's not.
And since we're not collecting anything to offset that, you know, it's starting to become a drag.
It's a very good idea.
That we're myself and Maria, and to some extent Maggie today, probably not so much Maggie, but we talked about what databases use to get that information, and we looked at several different ways of extracting it out of the local system, and we just haven't had a chance to analyze the results because there's ways to turn things on and turn things off to make sure that you're actually pulling out the right information. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that final number is going to be, I guess is what I would say. Initially, you would think it's just real easy. We'll just subtract the 103 or whatever it is we have vacants. But some of those, maybe because of the way they're recorded in the system, may actually already be out of that number. So we just gotta make sure that's right.
The number that I got, and realizing that this can change from month to month, the number that I received for the end of this month is 97.
Okay. And again, what I have is may have been run, earlier in the month, as we've been talking about this for a little bit tonight, so.
Can I put your number, what is that, houses that maybe that we've taken over and we tore down, like those ones on Richton Road,
Well,
are we taking those off of there already then? Or?
Yeah, that's
That's what you're talking
That's
about?
what we're talking about.
One house sold this month. It's noted on here and marked off.
Oh, okay.
And another one that was on here, it's a commercial account.
Yeah, and there's some, what I would call our problem houses, like 3611 Beckwood, that we've been horsing around with for 5 years,
Yeah.
and the guy's got like $42,000 worth of liens on the property. I don't know if that thing is still showing up in Minnesota.
What was the number?
3611 Beckwood.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, see, so, we just gotta, because there's different ways you can take these out of operation from a locus recording standpoint. We just wanna make sure that we're being fair to Hank, and we're being fair to ourselves, and that's what I would say, so, not Hank, but the allied people understand. So, anything else, Larry?
So,
Dean?
Continuing on our tree replacement program, we now have a draft, and we're gonna finalize it this week because the committee will get together on a request for proposal. And in fact, we've got a couple of them a couple of members have been working on it concurrently, so we're gonna meld these two together and come up with one final plan. And we're just about ready to pull the trigger and get these out into the landscaper's hands, so we can get these bids back, and we do want to be ready, in the fall. So it's not a big plan for us. It's only going to be somewhere between 25 and 30 trees in the Gordon subdivision, but it will be the pilot program, and then we want to do it again in the spring, and we'll get better and better at this to determine, and we work with Phil on all the trees that were removed, and Kim is, from the maintenance department, is also on the committee. She keeps us abreast of what's going on in that area of the trees that are being removed. So we've got a map. We now are ready to take the proposals, and then we make our decision and get these things in the ground. Earlier the better now, as far as I'm concerned. I'd like to think first week in September, maybe October 1st deadline. They need to root and get in there and give them a month to root, get them in too late, then the frost hits, and then we could be in trouble. So, we wanna get this going, and just like a lot of the other communities that are already got these programs, some of them already got them in place, we're ready to go.
Anything else?
That's it.
Al?
If anybody saw the NBC News tonight, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 o'clock, but they talked about the salt shortage because of last year's winter. And because that, in all likelihood, we will have snow in September. Every year.
Are you sure?
Feels like it today. Every year, the salt bids have to go through the state, and what they were reporting on the news is that there were 192 communities who were denied the opportunity to bid salt. So Crete has been told that we have received our salt allotment, and hopefully there's nothing that's going to fall through, and hopefully we don't even need it. Maybe we'll just sit piled up and be better.
Boy, is that wishful thinking.
How much was it, Phil? 960 tons?
Yeah, 9 something.
Yeah,
They
No,
did-
yeah.
They did increase it a little bit, right? Did you increase it, right?
No,
No, it was the same as we did.
yeah.
And we're
They
starting with
actually
less
down
than
a
what we
little bit.
did the previous year, so a little behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, 960, and we can take, what, 20% over that?
20% over, yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
let's
it
see.
was actually 900 even, then we gave 20% over that.
The maximum that we, will have to pay is 5% over what we paid last year. We paid 49,
Something.
Yeah, 48.95 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we've been blessed with that we got an allocation. I don't know how they decided to leave out the 190. Nobody made any comments about that. I had mayors and managers gave me a telephone number to call. I called it, and the guy said, "You're on for salt." So I'm like, happy. Yeah, I wouldn't know what you would do without salt, quite frankly. So it would be a very interesting time. Anything else, Howard?
No, there's a-
Can I speak for Trustee Taylor?
You sure can.
There's 2 items that I just wanted to address the board about. We've been approached by a property owner who owns property on the north side of New Money Road, just east of the railroad tracks. They are contiguous via Center Point property, and he's interested in annexation. We're at the very beginning stages of discussing that, so you'll probably see this come before you within a month or 2. Also, secondly, probably next week, but this is just to give you a heads up, staff is going to be recommending that you consider making the Crete Park of Commerce no parking on the streets to enable the trucks to have free access through, et cetera. So, and that actually the original design was for all off-street parking, so.
In regards to the annexation, we've actually been holding on to that annexation agreement, a request for a long time. I wanna say it goes back to like 99.
Really?
I think, yeah, it's been a long
I could have
time.
thought last week.
Yeah, I know, I mean, it was in our files, but really up until Center Point giving us that last 75 feet along the railroad tracks, we would have been contiguous except across the corner, so. They were interested in doing that. Under my report, a couple things, electric aggregation, and this one is for the press. Press, please impress on your readers that there apparently is a concerted effort by people or businesses unknown to convince our residents that there is something that they have to do to switch their electrical aggregation supplier. In the last couple of days, I had one today, or two I think we had today. Tom had a couple before we left. It's primarily the older folks that they're talking with, and they're telling them that, oh, you gotta make this decision, and, you know, Crete's making their decision right now, so you should be doing this. And as I posted online, just sit tight. Mike Smith goes, I think, tomorrow to Joliet for the electric aggregation meeting with the Will County Governmental League, and I'm guessing at that time they're gonna have everybody sign in some fashion to continue to do what we're doing, and then go out for pricing, go out for bids for the next year or 2 years or whatever the length of contract we decide to entertain as a group. But please don't be doing anything right now. Just sit tight until you hear what the numbers are, because otherwise you could be dialing yourself into higher electrical fees and doing that unnecessarily. So they're kind of preying on the people in our area right now. In regards to the AT&T duct, I'll give you a little kind of a sad story, I guess, if you want to call it that Phil and I have been made aware of in regards to the Exchange Street project. If you remember correctly, Exchange Street was supposed to be a 2-year process for doing exchange. And apparently, when, and this story could actually change tomorrow with the meeting that Phil's going to, they were supposed to do the stuff out in the field the first year, and then do the intersections at Cottage and at Exchange and Crete Road in the second year. And when Gallagher was awarded the bid, they, I guess unilaterally decided that they wanted to try to get it all done in 1 year. Now, there's utilities that have to be moved for some of this stuff, and apparently AT&T did not anticipate being required to move their ductwork in the first year of the construction. I know, bad circumstance. And this is fiber optic lines that have homeland security type implications and stuff. And Phil said, I think he said 15 ducts. Is that what it is, 15 tubes?
12.
12 tubes, okay. 12 ducts. And they can't place the box culvert where the old, where the dip in the road is there, where the creek runs through. They can't place that because they can't excavate it because the duct work is there. And in order to be able to place the culvert, the duct work's gotta be moved. And I'm not sure if the engineering's been done on that or not, because AT&T was expecting it to be next year. So, I impressed upon a guy from AT&T, which, as it turns out, our representative, John Quinn, is not a representative anymore, which I found out quite haphazardly. Nobody ever told us. Right now, we're in a transition period. But I got a hold of someone from AT&T, and the guy said, I'm gonna be working on this. In fact, he's the one that set the meeting up for tomorrow. And I can't remember what the guy's name is off the top of my head, it doesn't matter. And I also talked with the guy from Gallagher, Mr. Sullivan, and he said he was getting all these different stories. One guy from AT&T would say one thing, the other guy would say something else. So apparently they've now decided they're gonna have this big meeting and try to sort through all this. I told them that, our biggest concern is not having Exchange Street open. We're really running the risk of not being able to respond properly to police or fire calls. So the longer that thing is clogged up and not usable, the greater risk we run to having some sort of, I don't want to say catastrophic, but an event that could pose some liability to somebody, and I just don't want that to happen. So, and to keep in mind that once you drop that box culvert in there, you gotta pour the approaches, and that has to sit for 21 days. The concrete's gotta cure for 21 days. So it's not gonna happen like, lickety split, you drop the box in, you drive over it, everything's good. Doesn't work like that. So that's what's going on with Exchange Street, and we really need to get this thing, try to get it tied down and opened up before school starts, which is probably gonna be almost an impossibility. Two other things. I continually drive around town and see people putting out very, very tiny piles of branches, and this is another one for Dennis tonight. A pile of branches, little twigs that are like this big, and they put them out the curb, and somebody has to now go by and pick that thing up. You can get a no-cost yard waste container. Put them in the yard waste container so that the garbage guy picks it up, and the guys that are doing the branch shipping don't have to stop and interrupt their normal movement from one place to another. They get the really big stuff to stop and pick up something that you could have put in a grocery bag. It's just crazy. So I don't know how many times we have to say that before people get it. I asked Marty, who Marty's not here tonight. I asked him to try to work on a little door hanger that would, you know, if they're driving around or anybody's driving around, either hang it on the branches or go up and hang it on the door, making people aware that this is not the proper way to do it. We have some for other purposes that they've been using, like pre-notices of your, you know, not cutting your grass that they're out there hanging. So if you can do this, maybe we'll get a little more cooperation. The last thing, we got the state list, our database list of all vehicles registered in the 60417 zip code area. Well, as you probably know, 60417 is not just inside the village boundaries. It's all the way from the state line to Western Avenue and Offner Road, all the way up to Stager Road, excluding the village of Stager, and what little bit that is delivered by the Beecher Post Office. It carries a 60401 zip code. I think I started out with how many, Maggie? 19,600. So I spent a significant amount of time. Well, first of all, Maggie converted the text file to a Excel file and managed to split up the fields so that it was more easily editable. And I spent quite a bit of time, I want to say last Thursday or Friday, whatever day I was working on it, and finally got the whole thing edited down. And we have, just rough numbers, about 9,500 vehicles registered in the village of Crete. However, some of those vehicles may not exist because they've been sold or something. Some of them are trailers, some of them are motorcycles. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that could be in it. It would not necessarily be a car like we would typically put a vehicle sticker on. But today, I don't think we have yet to break 5,500 vehicle stickers being sold. So, if you just looked at the pure numbers, that tells me that roughly 4,000 people, if you believe the state's numbers, haven't bought vehicle stickers yet. Do the math. Even at the normal rate, 4,000 times 50 bucks is 200 grand. That's what we are shorting the road and bridge fund for money to take care of the streets. So, and again, I don't think the 9,500 is really the right number. I think it's something less than that, but is it much less than that? I don't know. Maybe it's 8,500. But regardless, pardon me, it means a lot of money to repair our roads. And you know, Lord knows we have plenty of roads that need to be repaired. Am I correct, Trustee Taylor?
Road and Bridge would be happy to just take half of that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That is of concern, but the good news is it has been shipped over to the police department. So if you are a juvenile delinquent, vehicle sticker delinquent, you can expect that we will be, as we have in the past, comparing those who have and those who have not. And the have-nots are gonna wind up having an issue probably at some point. So I would just encourage everybody to get in here and get that sticker taken care of, because there is a penalty involved right now. If you get a sticker violation, you're gonna have to pay that on top, and you just certainly don't wanna do that. So, and then I guess the last thing is, Deb, I'm gonna ask this right now while I'm reminded by a note I put here. Yeah, we published twice for the 55 acres. Do you know?
I do not know.
Do you happen to know if we published twice?
I'm not sure, no.
Okay, well, we need to make sure we get that published twice so we can go to closing. Isn't that correct? What has to happen?
They're leaving the sign.
Right now, I have the amended contract that I'm sending to them for them to sign.
Okay, all right.
We'll agree to accept it.
So, anyway, I think we're past that. I hope we are. Anyway, Chief Paoletti, anything tonight?
Yeah, just a comment on two of the items on your list regarding the village vehicle stickers. We have issued the Secretary of State's list of registered vehicles to the Village of Crete addresses to each officer, and on each tour of duty, each officer is assigned a street to canvass to check for the stickers. To date, we've issued 90 citations for failure to purchase vehicle stickers. Regarding the Exchange Street project, in the last 2 weeks, we've increased our traffic patrols on both Richton and Burrville as a result of citizens' concerns of the increased traffic and speeders. To date, in the last 2 weeks, we've made 260 traffic stops on those two roads, resulting in 90 moving citations, 4 DUI arrests, and multiple felony drug and arrest warrants.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Also,
I'm gonna try this once a year, I think, just to clean
we have
things up.
a citizen was concerned about a hidden driveway in the area of 181 East on Richton, and with the cooperation of the Superintendent of Public Works, we've ordered a caution hidden drive sign that'll be mounted on the approach going westbound to that driveway.
Phil, what do you got? Anything?
Actually, there's gonna be 2 of those hidden driveway signs.
There's gonna be 2 signs.
180 and one at 150 maybe, on the other side of the hill coming up on the bridge, so.
And what did we decide to do with, Mr. Hildebrand?
Yeah, when you come around the curve
Right by the,
golf course.
maintenance, by the maintenance shed.
That's the one he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
That isn't 190 or 180, that's, it's gotta be, 400 and something. Because,
Either way, that's the one Chief's talking about. I'm talking about one on the other side of the bridge.
yeah, that's kind of what you're talking about, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about 151, I think is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Richard.
The only other possibility for Hildebrand would be to cut down or remove some, a couple evergreen trees. I know Larry went out there and looked at it too, and that really would provide him with the best vision coming out of his driveway, but there's trees that he planted, so, you know, it's kind of, one of those things.
The other thing I neglected to mention is we've had our radar trailer on both of those streets, Richton and Burrville, for citizen awareness.
Karen, did you have anything?
No, nothing.
Maggie, I didn't get over, did you have anything you
No,
needed
no.
to bring it to us? No? Okay. All righty, I think that takes us down to communication. I'm sorry.
If I might, before we go to communications, normally we have an item on the agenda tonight under new business that you usually move forward.
Oh, yeah, we can do that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and not that we don't enjoy having you with us, and I'm sure they're finding it fascinating, but,
Is this Mr. Schunas?
Me.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We bought our vehicle stickers. Okay. We're getting out of here.
3 of them.
Okay. Let's, that's item number 3 in our new business, and Dan, thanks a lot for reminding me about that. I remember reading this earlier, and I was gonna do that. As it says here, that they're looking for a street closure because they're gonna have a graduation party. And, who's graduating, by the way?
My daughter, our daughter Karina.
Okay, very good. At any rate, they want to be blocked off a portion of Columbia Street to the driveway of 1264 Columbia, the location of the home is at the corner of Columbia and 2nd Street. And this is going to be August the 2nd, 2014, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm looking for a motion to grant that, and then Phil, you'll be able to supply the barricades for the event.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Johnson, second by Gaffney. Any discussion?
What's the side of this?
She means 2nd Street. We're on the corner of Columbia. and
Yeah.
2nd,
Yeah,
so,
second,
okay.
is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll be in second, yeah.
Okay.
So you're actually closing 2nd Street, correct?
Right, exactly.
From the corner to your alley.
Yes,
It's an
yes.
alley right there, right?
Right.
I'm just so I know where to,
Okay, yeah.
know where to drop the barricades off.
Should we change it with changes?
Yeah, and we need to make the adjustment then, because it's not really Columbia, it's Second Street.
So it's a
So-
portion of 2nd Street.
Columbia. Your address is on.
Our address is
Columbia,
Columbia,
that's right.
faces Columbia, right?
I'll make a motion with
Make that adjustment.
the adjustment.
Okay, we got a second on the adjustment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So that's Mary Roberts' old place. right?
She's my grandma.
How'd you
Okay.
know?
I knew Mary Isidore Roberts. That's what she, I think that's what her made it by. Middle name was.
I'm sure they got letters they actually wrote.
Oh, yeah, Mary was a writer. She could bombard you with literature like.
That was your grandmother?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
She was a
strong letters, what she would say.
She was a great person, but I'll tell you, whenever she gave you something, it was complete. There was no nothing was left to chance. She had newspaper articles and support and everything that you could imagine, so.
Yeah.
She was, she used to be a teacher, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, you're, okay, you're good to go. So let's get back on.
Yep,
to
ready to go?
communication.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Communication's good.
Okay, we have
I see.
a letter from Comcast showing the channel lineup changes. Adding U2 HD as part of the limited basic service. We have a letter from United Way asking for consideration to make a contribution to the 2013-2014 United Way Will Come campaign. We have a request for nominations by Prairie State College for Community Service Awards. The two awards that will be given are the 2014 Dr. James H. Griffith Community Service Award and the 2014 Michael R. Monteleone Community Service Award. And you guys have the letters with the details. There's also a letter from Will County Community Concerns. It's actually a survey to be completed on the issues that affect our community and how well the Will County Center for Community Concerns is responding to the issues. They hope to improve their services through the input from the Will County community. There's also a request from Sheila Einhorn, the event coordinator of Street Lions Club, for permission to hold the annual Lions Club Game Day for the Blind on Friday, October 10th, and Saturday, October 11th, at the corner of Main and Exchange Streets from dawn until dusk. Safety regulations will be observed.
This is something, Senator, we don't need a motion for this, do we?
No, actually, pretty much what we'll do here is, the United Way letter and, the Will County Community Concerns will refer to Trustee Waiter for his handling as he sees fit. And then, yeah, the request by the Lions Club, that's just informational only because they're a repeat, request, so we don't have to do anything with that. Anyone else have communications come before the board? Hearing none, then we will go to old business, and that is the bid opening for MFT for this year. I don't know who's gonna do it, how are you gonna do it, or is Jill gonna do it?
The bid opening was, last week's 17th, 2 weeks ago. The estimate was $208,000 for the road construction that will be paid through MFT. And there were four bids that came in, the lowest being $199,638 from Iroquois Paving. And that was the recommendation from Tech Crete to go with their company, for that work to be done.
Excellent.
I make a motion to accept the bid from Iroquois Paving in the amount of $199,638.
I'll stop there.
Motion by Milburn, second by Johnson, to accept the bid of Iroquois Paving Corporation, $199,638. Any discussion?
How many streets, Howard, are we talking about?
So there's patching, there's.
It's not a
Not a
street,
full,
it's
yeah,
a
okay.
section between this number and that number.
I see.
There's probably 20 line items on that thing, isn't there, Phil?
Yeah, it's like 8 or 9 different streets, though, I mean, it's what it is.
And we got patching, so.
Throughout, they're just all over town too, we try to spread them out, you know what I mean, do a little bit in each section.
Okay, with nothing else, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Okay. Next item, excuse me, that can go to Trustee Taylor for old business.
Nothing this evening?
Trustee Johnson?
Nothing, sir.
Trustee Johnstone? No. Trustee Gaffney? And Trustee Milton?
No.
Okay, number, resolution under new business. This is one where we have to appoint a delegate or delegates to the Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency. It'll be effective July the 14th. After the resignation of Tom Durkin, we decided we're going to put Maggie Platter, administrative assistant and HR supervisor, was selected as a delegate for Crete, with Mike Smith right now as the acting village administrator. And he is the actual alternative person, our delegate right now. He was that when Tom was here, so we need a motion to authorize the clerk and the mayor to sign the
Make a motion to the clerk to sign that authorization.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Johnson.
What's the number?
What's the number of the year?
536.
Any discussion? I'm sorry, can we do a motion ready?
Yeah.
Johnson.
Johnson, that's right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. And the next thing we got here is a resolution authorizing the acquisition of certain lots in Will County, the tax delinquent agent. This year, I believe there are 4 lots that we, that we found that, would be useful for us to, take ownership of. It costs us roughly $650 per lot to.
Don't we usually give waivers of permission to go
That-
there
that's
and
if you're-
purchase?
That's if you're gonna bid them. We got these taken off ahead of time.
We got these take off that time.
Yeah, so we don't have to.
So you don't have to go there and, okay.
So we're good with that. There were quite a few, I don't wanna say there was maybe like 30 of them, maybe a few more that we looked at, but quite frankly, there's no sense in buying stuff that really doesn't do you any good, or not integral. A lot of the stuff is along Crete Road where we own lots of lots already. So, we need a resolution to, get to the right one here. We need a resolution to authorize the acquisition of the lots. It's about roughly $2,600 in total cost, so.
I so move.
And this will be, resolution 2014-537.
537.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Johnson. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. And we handled the street closure, which was number 3, and then we have a resolution revising the appointment of the authorized agent for the Holland Municipal Retirement Fund. And that is going to be, I'm guessing, 538. And this is somewhat similar to the Irma circumstance, only we're going to be doing this for Holland Municipal Retirement. So, we need a motion on that one.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gaffney, second by Milburn. And that is to sign, resolution number 538. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. And then, the next is, discussion on the disposition of the 2006 Ford Explorer. That was the village administrator's vehicle. I had talked to Trustee Waiter about this. We had the vehicle detailed, had a few things fixed on it. It had kind of a funky front seat. In fact, you could only go back. It's an electric seat. You can only make it go backwards. So that if you think that when you got in there you wanted to adjust it forward, it wouldn't adjust. And then you thought if you could adjust it all the way back, you could then make it go back forward. Well, it wouldn't. So when I got in that thing, I was like hanging down trying to touch the pedal so I could drive it into the parking lot. We were able to find a mechanism. Yeah, well, I think it was used from, I don't know where it came from. A new one was $1,000. Yeah, and we decided, no, we're not doing it like that. So, we have a pool car, right now it's got 130,000 maybe, I think, something like that, I don't even know.
What's the Explorer got on it?
Explorer's got 183,000 on it.
Oh, still like new then, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's like new.
Is that Chevy?
No.
No, it's a Ford.
Yeah, right. Tom must have been wearing some mighty sharp heeled shoes, because not only did his heel wear through the actual floor mat, the removable one, but it actually wore through the carpeting below too. Yeah, he's got a spot about like this big where the
you know, it's right straight through. So I'm guessing he probably wore through the rubber one, the carpeted insert and the bottom one, so. I mean, it's not a bad vehicle, I suppose, but quite frankly, the pool car is not a bad one either. I think really does a nice job. So, I don't know what we wanna do with this. I kinda am leaning towards, getting rid of this car, unless there's some pressing need to hold on to it. I think we'll probably, if we either put it up for sale or send it to the auction, we should probably be able to get a decent amount of money for it, because the body is in good shape. You know, I think the tires are in decent shape. It's just, you know, it's a high miler. It's a high miler. And we have had trouble with the trans in that thing in the past, so.
I don't know if anybody's had this conversation with you, but Moni has just started up their EMA, and they don't they have one vehicle. Is this maybe something that we can, as the village, donate to them, and they can convert to their
Well,
purposes?
I don't know if I would necessarily donate it to them, but I may sell
Well,
it to them at
you know.
a reduced rate, I suppose, if the board's so inclined.
Well, you know, maybe that's something you can talk to Jay about or something like that, I don't know.
I could do that.
So are we thinking that we'll keep one of the two vehicles?
Well, it's not been considered that we would sell the pool car, because we use that a lot, you know, that when guys go to school and if they're going to a water conference or whatever, or if I go up to, north, if I go to Chicago for mayors and managers, or for Will County Governmental League, or the Metropolitan Municipal Office, unless I'm coming from someplace else, I try to take that car, because otherwise it's, you know, 56 cents a mile.
Yes, can we make a motion to put this Explorer in the hands of a trustee waiter and the mayor to decide how to dispose of it?
You consider
And they can
We'd have to
I
have
would
to-
recommend against that. I would recommend that if you wanna look at the deal with Moni, and let the board
Well,
decide.
yeah, whatever they decide, you know, come down.
Do we wanna have the attorney, draft an ordinance to declare it surplus? Sure.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
That would be a resolution.
Resolution, I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's been a motion, we ask the attorney to, prepare an ordinance, or excuse me, a resolution to, declare the vehicle surplus.
Is it easier to do several of those at one time, Jim, or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
does it matter?
You had some too?
Well, I'm going to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could hold off, because you do have 2 trucks coming.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it today, what is it, a week or something like that, or?
What are they saying, you know?
We called about a week ago and they said it'd probably be in the next 30 days,
So,
so.
we can maybe just set this aside, we can still vote on it to do that, but we'll, do them all at one, with one then.
Makes sense, we got all this stuff in mind, so.
Yeah.
So, I think there was,
Want me to-
I think there was a motion by Johnson.
You want me to just withdraw it, or?
Well, you can either withdraw it and do it later, or amend it to include any vehicles that DPW has,
2 pickup trucks from,
and anything PD has?
Not yet, there's nothing coming in to replace them.
Okay.
You've been there, right?
Yes, that's fine with me.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it okay with you?
2 minutes from now, too, you know.
Exactly.
You gonna withdraw it, or you gonna?
No, I'll amend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll amend it. Ali's okay with it, so we're good.
Is there a second then?
Larry,
Oh, Larry, okay.
didn't you?
You okay, Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody understand the motion? And again, we don't have to pass this until, you know, sometime in the future. And we can take input from Trustee Waiter, and I can talk to Jay and see what, you know, what their desires are. So,
Could we take it out and trade for their stump grinder?
what's that now?
Could we take it out and trade for the stump grinder?
They don't have a stump ring.
They don't, Moni doesn't?
No.
no,
But we did, don't
no. No,
we?
we
You're
rent.
renting that?
Yeah, we rent.
Yeah, I want one.
I think next time we're gonna rent it, we're probably gonna rent it, and then they're gonna take it, Moni's gonna take it right from us, and they're gonna return it, I think, is what's gonna happen.
Okay, well, there's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Okay, the next is the temporary sign request. Northwoods Hardy Home Cooking, 2 months for sign that say win cash and swing play slots and video poker. The sign will be vinyl, 4 feet by 10 feet. You know, the administrator, which would be Mike Smith, can authorize this for up to 30 days, but since it's for 2 months. I think that Charles is the last guy that has the potential for the video slots, and he's put off doing it for, what, a year and a half, something like that, I wanna say. Has it been that long? Yeah, I think it has, hasn't it?
Since we've had it in place.
Yeah, I remember it was right after the first year, and that would have been 2013 that we got the first
We
one.
just need a motion for the sign, not for Northwoods, right?
Yes,
Where is
I would
he
make
with-
that motion.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
Northwoods
sign.
sign.
Yeah, where's the sign going?
Let's see, it's on the building.
It's a 4x10 sign.
Says on the building.
Where does it say on the building?
The location of sign on the building,
Oh,
right here,
it's on the
Oh,
permit.
On the
okay.
application.
on the application.
That was sent separately.
It was up on the top.
May not even show.
Of the name?
I don't know where he's putting it.
He's a good provider, reliable.
Yeah, it says on the building, it's a banner, 4 foot by 10 feet. So,
Is there a maximum size that we have for these temporary signs? Is it all within it?
you gonna pull out the,
Yeah.
oops,
Whatever you guys.
is it?
Basically, by 8x8.
It's pretty big zone, and then he's got,
Yeah, he's got a lot of
60, 70 feet frontage,
Yeah, probably,
more.
yeah.
The only thing I would ask is that there is a motion, if the motion could include that.
Okay, so it'd be like,
2 months from today or
September,
tomorrow or whatever.
September 30th or something like that.
Yeah, pretty big.
Did we have hard burden with it, or?
Oh, it's how much you eat over there.
I'm surprised, yeah, I'm surprised that he hasn't had the slots already. He's got the perfect setup for him right behind the ball back there. I just never understood that.
I'm gonna get it approved.
Did the other businesses put signs up?
Huh?
Did the other businesses in town put signs up as they?
Mark Haynes did, they had them, I mean, anything around the building, or in the windows at Ainer and Bliss. I don't think Jim ever had them here, I don't think that Chuck ever had them.
I
Chuck's
think
never.
Chuck's put it on that side.
Yeah, but on that side of the building,
Service
I think you're right,
North side of
he
the
is
building.
correct.
I don't know whether Vince ever put them,
I don't think Vince ever had one that close.
I don't recall seeing them.
The Board of Trustees shall establish location, spatial, length, and height limitations and duration.
There you go.
As part of the agreement.
Motion was made by trustee Gepner, is there a second?
Yes.
Mary? Need a second?
Well, either way you want to say that, make it a comment motion.
Okay.
Doesn't make any difference.
All right, then a motion and a second then for the temporary sign request, and let's make it the 30th of September. That would be good, I would think. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Pam, new business, anything?
Nothing this evening?
Steve? Larry? Dean? All right.
No. Motion to adjourn.
No, executive session.
I do not meet.
You don't need executive session?
Oh, no?
Okay.
Oh,
Very good.
you were ready, you were jumping.
I was all over that.
She was ready to roll.
I do not.
All right, then there was a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Who was the second, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it.
All righty.
Not quite a record, but pretty close.
I guess so.
Big, so.
It's hard to do, but hit yourself. I saw it, no, it's hard to do, but hit yourself.
I'm pretty sure that's Karen, I didn't see it.
So we'll do that.